Alright, so I'm going to be showing you how to open up and disassemble this 13-inch MacBook Pro model A1502 early 2015. Alright, so this had some liquid spill, so we're going to take the whole motherboard out or Logicboard out and see if any liquid is under there or residue. Right, we're going to use a P5 or Pentalobe 1.2 screwdriver to remove all the screws from the bottom. Alright, you want to keep them in order because they can be different size, shape, and lengths. The way I do that, put them flat side down like this. In the pattern, you remove them. Alright, so we have this rectangle shape. If you're wondering, because a lot of times I'll get people that ask me what screwdriver to use, what screwdrivers are needed, it's best to buy like a small set. If you're not sure what to look for, feel free to message in the comment section below, and I can send you a link for a good set. The iFixit one, the bits are actually really good. The handle itself is very grippy, but there's some cheaper screwdrivers that have like these little built-in extender rod things that work really well, and it makes it useful for like working on desktops. But I've been kind of using this just because I mainly work on laptops, and then for desktops I have to use that little extender rod. But yeah, so there's that. There are cheaper sets that are like $15 or less, and you get like all these different screwdriver bits. If you're not doing this like daily for a living, then those sets actually work really well. And I've had one set that I used for multiple years and it held up pretty well. So yeah, but the iFixit bits, I've been even like kind of using them with like a drill to remove like bigger screws. So they hold up well. Anyways, we're going to remove this cover, okay? I actually opened this earlier and kind of dusted a bit, so the stuff that's here is kind of just stuck there. It's not going to come out. Anyways, we're going to disconnect the battery. So the battery connector's right here. I just get underneath. I don't know why, but this battery popped out really easily. Normally I have to like go under here and then use both hands and kind of like pull it really hard. Anyways, after you disconnect the battery, open up the computer. Press and hold the power button for about 15 seconds. This will drain any residual power and will make it a lot safer to work on. Right? Some people ask me if they have to do this. I mean, it only takes 15 seconds. So yeah, just do it, and it can potentially save you lots of money in potential damage. All right, so we're gonna remove the whole motherboard. They did say also the speakers weren't working, so let's go ahead and remove those. All right, we're going to switch over to a T5 or Torx 5 screwdriver. Okay, and we're going to remove the 3 screws holding this in place. Again, you want to keep all the screws in order because they are different size, shape, and lengths, and if you mix them up, you can damage your computer. Okay, there we go. So we got those 3 out. They are like hidden, the wire's hidden under there, so let's actually also remove this. Hopefully you'll be able to keep track of all your screws. Okay, it's a lot of screws. Oops, there's 2 screws there. After you remove those 2 screws, you can actually lift this metal plate out and move that out of the way. Then we got this screw. We'll remove that as well. Might as well we'll just remove all the screws as we go. Okay, some people ask me if they have to remove specific screws or specific parts before removing others. And the answer is whatever you need to remove it. If you don't know and you're just gonna guess, then just follow along the entire guide. The main thing you need to do first is the battery disconnect and drain. Everything else, as long as you can remove it, like if you wanted to pull this out, you don't have to pull this out first or this out first. You can go ahead and pull that, and it doesn't matter the order. All right, the main thing is the battery. All right, we're gonna remove this. If there is a specific order, I'll actually mention it, like to where if it's important that you have to remove something, unless it's not obvious. If it's not obvious. Okay, we're going to remove this rubber piece up here. So I get the screwdriver under here because there's a little sticker there holding it in place. So I just peel it up just like that, and here you can see that way the sticker stays there. Okay, we'll set that aside. We're going to remove this as well. Again, I'm not going in any particular order. I'm just removing whatever, whenever. So there's no specific order. This is the LCD LVDS connector. If you're removing this, make sure you disconnected the battery and press and held the power button. That's the main thing that requires that. Otherwise, you can fry this. All right. Then I grab this metal latch here, and I use my thumbs close to the bottom and pull it back. And there we go. We disconnected the screen cable. I'm likely not going to remove the screen. I'm just actually disconnecting the thing so I can get the stuff out from under, because they did turn it on and it didn't look like there was any damage with the screen. So we're not going to take the screen out because this half is probably fine. All right, we're going to go ahead now and remove the wireless antennas. I just use my fingernails, but you can use whatever tools, tweezers, and you want to just pull the tails of the antennas straight up, just like this. All right, then we're going to move this out of the way. If you want, you can actually remove this completely. It has like these, you kind of just fold it up and it splits, and you can see it just wraps around the thing like that. We'll put that back later. Okay, you don't want to forget that, because that helps with the airflow blowing directly out of here. If you don't have that seal, then the air will kind of like blow around and circulate and not cool as effectively. All right, now we got the eyesight or webcam cable here. Let me actually zoom in a bit. It helps to kind of use a plastic tool or something. We're gonna have to peel this up because there's adhesive holding it down. Okay, and you don't want to crease the cables too much, so I kind of like try and slowly work my way over. Okay, once we get enough where I can kind of grab this, I'm going to use the tool to help kind of push this, like left side and then right side, left side and right side. And we're going to slowly walk that connector out, and there you go. Okay, then we're going to go over here and carefully peel this up. Again, you don't want to crease it, so we're just going to keep peeling it, try to keep it flat. All right. I might have to loosen these two screws just so I have some room to work with it. So we're going to switch to a T8 or Torx 8 screwdriver. Oops, I got the wrong size. T8, sorry. And then we'll loosen this. If you want, you can remove these screws completely. Again, it's a lot of screws, so hopefully you guys can remember all the screws removed, where you got them from. Again, putting it in the pattern helps a lot, okay? So there we go. We can move these out of the way. We also have a PH0 or JS0 screwdriver there, or screw there. So I'm going to switch to that. We'll remove that screw. Okay. All right, so we got that. And then we got all the T5, Torx 5 screws that we still need to remove. I'm going to leave, actually, let's pull the wireless card up just in case some liquid got underneath there. One screw. Under, lift it, it pops up at an angle, and then we're going to kind of wiggle and pull this back. So just grab that and kind of just wiggle it. There we go. And you can take a look. Usually it's just like kind of dusty or something. So I'm going to brush this dust off into the trash can next to me, just using a toothbrush. Okay, so let me do that. There's always like crumbs that stick to that thermal pad there. All right, so there we go. Basically, just use a toothbrush and scrub the edges there. So we'll set that aside. Again, keep all the screws in order. Okay, so that looks fine. All right, let's go ahead and take this cable out here. I go opposite corners with my fingernails and just pop it up like this. Helps to kind of like wiggle it as you pull it, and there we go. Remember which side goes where. You have this little dip there. I mean, if you put it upside down, then it won't actually work right, because as you can see, you want actually the opposite connectors here. So you have this one with the tall walls, this one without, this one without, and this one with the tall walls. So that's how you know which one goes where. You have to mix them up. All right, now we're gonna go ahead and remove, I'm gonna just remove these two. Oops, sorry, am I zoomed in too much? Okay, we're just gonna remove these two screws here. Okay, I'm going to get confused because I'm doing it in different layers, but we'll see how this goes. Okay, so I only remove these two. This one, you can actually leave the fan connected to the motherboard. Okay, we're going to disconnect the speaker cable here. So you get underneath. It helps if you use a tool like this, but usually I just use my fingernails. But what you're doing is you're getting under the gap, the connector as close as you can, and then you kind of twist this to pop it up, usually more towards one side than to kind of pop it out, just like that. And the reason why we do that, let me see if I can show you here. So if you look at this connector here, there's a little gap, so it actually extends out further in the corners. So what we're doing is we're basically getting the edge of the tool there and then popping that side up. Okay, and then we're gonna also disconnect this cable here. So this has like a pinch tabs that you have to kind of squeeze. So pinch that and you can see we can pull that out. People are using my Costco card. All right, anyways, we'll peel this up and then we can pull this out. All right, and here we go. So you can see this is kind of dusty as well. So I'm gonna brush this off into the trash can next to me again. All right. And you don't want to brush this too hard because the membrane on these speakers can break. Okay, there we go. So it's cleaner, not perfect, but it's cleaner. All right, we're gonna set that aside. It looks like there was some like stuff in there, so maybe it was like liquid damage and maybe the water kind of dried up, because I don't really see any more liquid there. There was just some like crumbs or something all bundled up there. Okay, we're gonna disconnect the trackpad or touchpad cable here. Just disconnect that. If you want, you can kind of peel it up. Again, you don't want to crease it, so you can kind of peel it up. I'm just gonna move it out of the way a little bit. I'm not actually gonna take the battery out. All right, or not the touchpad cable out. All right. I have other videos where I do that. If you want to see that, usually I'll remove it when I remove the battery. Okay, this is the keyboard cable. We're going to flip the latch up over here. Okay, once you flip this latch up, we can actually use this adhesive tab thingy to pull that out, and there we go. All right. If you want, you can also remove the battery screw here to make it a little bit easier to move it up. Move the connector here out of the way when we take the motherboard out. Okay. All right, let's see what else we got. We got 2 screws up here we're gonna remove. Okay, so we'll remove this one. Okay, and this one here. Okay, we'll remove the screw holding the SSD in place. Okay, once you remove that screw, you can kind of pull it up slightly at an angle like this, and then kind of wiggle and pull it out. There we go. If you want, you can clean the dust off of this as well. Hopefully you guys are keeping yourself grounded so you don't damage your board. All right, we'll set that aside. Right, don't forget this cable here. This is the keyboard backlight. If you forget that and tear that, your keyboard won't light up. Okay, got another screw over here. Okay. All right, we got 2 screws holding the charge port in place, the MagSafe charge port adapter. Again, keep all the screws in order. And this charge port, you can actually replace it easily without taking the whole computer apart. If you wanted, you could actually just take those 2 screws out and you can lift this and take this out, as you can see. All right. And this kind of connector, it's held in with adhesive here. I mean, I likely don't need to take it out, but I'll do it anyways. Grab that and kind of just wiggle it. You want to hold as close as you can to the connector, and you just wiggle that and it'll pop out. There you go. Let me brush this off because there's a little like residue on it. Okay. Clean up all of this. Okay, so that looks good. So we'll actually plug this back in and leave it connected there, because everything else over here also looks good. Actually, we'll leave this aside. Okay, we got the other speaker cable, or the other speaker down here. Let me zoom out a bit here for you guys. Okay, we're gonna get all these 3 screws out for this speaker. Again, hopefully you guys are able to keep all these screws in order. It's a lot. Just like the other speaker, we're going to lift this up first. We have to swing this out so it goes out from under there. And this time I'm just going to use my fingernail and pop it up just like that. You can see how easy that was. That's why I like to use my fingernails for a lot of this stuff. Easier than using the tools, actually. Okay. Okay, so we got that speaker out. We'll set that aside. All right. Let's see what else. We got the microphone cable here. So this one has the little flip latch, basically like the keyboard cable, just smaller. Hold the little tape out of the way, flip this latch up. Once you flip that latch up, you can use this to kind of help wiggle and pull this out. There we go. Okay, I think we got everything we need. Let's zoom out a bit. Okay, so now we can lift this out. All right. So is this one, do I have to remove both? I thought on this model I can, oh yeah, I can leave it attached. I guess there was liquid kind of residue holding it. Okay, so now we can actually lift this up. You want to be careful not to break this heatsink. So if you're lifting it, you want to be very careful. Okay. Did I forget a screw? I did. Okay, there's one more screw down here. I was wondering why it was not easy to pull up. You want to be careful with that. Don't just try and yank things out. Okay, and let's go ahead now and lift this up. All right, then grab this. Okay, hold the battery connector out of the way. Slowly, carefully continue lifting. Make sure the keyboard connector is out of the way as well. And then once you get it far enough, you can take this out. All right, so this one, there's a little dust under there. I don't really see anything that looks really bad in terms of liquid damage. There's some like little green stuff there, but nothing that looks bad. All right, so I'm gonna brush this thing off and then we'll remove the little board and clean that up as well. Okay, so I'm just brushing off the dust into the trash can next to me. Okay, we'll flip it over and do the same thing on the front, though I already did that earlier when I dusted it off. So here you can see. All right, clean that all off, get the loose dust out. There we go. And we'll set the motherboard aside. You want to be very careful with this because it can be damaged easily, so put it on something that won't get static that can destroy it. All right, I actually like to put it upside down on the heatsink side, on the bottom of the other cover, this. Okay, so I put it like that. All right, as long as you did the battery drain, you should be okay. Okay, let's go ahead now and remove this board. There's one more screw that was underneath the fan. They actually put a screw that goes into this screw, and this to remove you need to use the T8 or Torx 8 screwdriver. Okay, so we'll remove this screw. Remove that. We'll lift this up. There you go. We'll take a look. It looks okay, so we're gonna just dust this off as well, and then I think we can actually put this thing back together. I'm gonna actually clean this part out as well because it's pretty dusty, but looks like it's okay. Some stuff stuck in the SD card slot. There's like plastic, so I'm gonna try removing that with some tweezers. Oh yeah, I don't know, they had a little bit of plastic in there. Okay, I think everything's good, so we'll use this, get the dust out. Okay, so we got that. I'm gonna take this outside and dust it because that's a lot more dust and it's harder to get that into my trash can. So I'll do that real quick and I'll be back. See you guys soon. All right, so I'm back, cleaned all the dust out of here. I also dusted out the keyboard as well. Let's go ahead now and put this thing back together. Basically putting everything in reverse. Okay, you have to do this at an angle. Make sure these little metal pieces go back underneath here. Okay. Take the T8 or Torx 8 screwdriver and get this back in. You want to make sure the two screw holes line up here. You got the one down here and the one up here. Okay. Let's get it. Oh. Okay. All right. Good. Make sure it's nice and lined up. Okay, next thing, we're gonna go ahead and get the motherboard in. Grab the motherboard. All right, it's gonna go at an angle. This part can be very tricky because you do have to make sure all these cables end up back on top. So yeah, make sure everything ends up back on top. All right, you got the keyboard backlight, the microphone, you got the battery cable. All right, it helps to kind of slide it at a angle like that. Make sure these little metal tabs go underneath as well. Okay, and we do have to kind of tilt it up at an angle more to get this to go in right. And the way you line it up is you line up the headphone jack into this hole here. Okay, make sure that's lined up. Okay, then of course now the cables are underneath, so we're gonna have to use something to reach underneath and get them out. So get that out. Okay, keep holding this up. Get the keyboard cable out as well, of course. Slowly, carefully drop it. Of course, other cables will get trapped under, so you just gotta make sure to fish them out. Okay, fish out the camera. And then double check, make sure everything's good. You got the LCD cable, you got the keyboard backlight, microphone, battery cable, keyboard, trackpad. You got this for the I/O board here. All right, and the antennas. All right, and the camera. So let's go ahead now. We can plug this back in. Okay, pinch that back together. Uh-oh, I'm getting a call. Hold on, I'll be back. All right, sorry about that. I'm back. So let's go ahead and start getting screws in. We can actually put the battery screw in first. Again, the order doesn't really matter so much here. Okay. So we're going to get that screw in. All right. Then we can also get the charger in. You got to go in at an angle like this. All right. And then we're going to get this lined up and pinch this together. All right. See if I got my magnetic charger cable tip here. Yeah, I do. Okay, so I'm going to use this to hold it in place. You can use your charger while it's unplugged from the wall, but I'm going to use that to help hold this into place so everything's lined up. All right, and then we're going to go ahead and get these screws in. And I like to pull the charge port slightly out to kind of keep it as close to the edge of the case as possible. Okay. That. All right, we can now remove that. All right, then make sure the screws line up here. Okay, if you want, we can actually put the PH0 or JS0 screw first. Okay. All right, and we're gonna put that screw over here just to make sure things stay lined up and don't move around. Good. All right, back to the T5 or Torx 5 screwdriver. And we'll get all these screws in. Okay, so we got this one. Got this one. All right. And we got this one. Okay, there we go. Then we got the other screws they took out here from the fan. Again, there's no specific order you gotta do this. You can even reconnect everything you before even putting these screws back in. So yeah, there's no specific order you gotta do this. All right, whatever works for you. Okay, we had this one screw over here. Okay, tighten that in. Good. All right, wireless card. We can go ahead and put that in. Just get it in slightly at an angle. Actually, should I zoom in for you guys? Okay, slightly at an angle. And I like to pinch the two pieces together. Just like that. Then drop that down. There's some dust here. Okay. Got that. Get the wireless card screw in. Good. All right, we can actually put the wireless antenna, the speaker in. So this one you have to do before you put back the rest of this stuff. So speaker first before you put back the other cable and the plate. All right, and then just push that into place. It just lines up. Get those screw holes lined up, and let's get those 3 screws in. Okay. Just like that. that, and the last one. All right, and we'll tighten that in. Tighten that in. All right. And then let's get the microphone cable in as well first, since this is going to be hidden underneath the speaker cable. So get that lined up. Make sure that latches up, of course. Okay. Get that into place. All right, and then pull that in. There we go. Once that's into place, you just slide your finger over the top to latch it down. Okay. And then you can get that tape back on. Then we slide this speaker in at an angle like that. Get this lined up and push that in. All right, and let's go ahead and get the 3 screws in. Very easy. This one. Tighten that in. That one in, and this one in. There we go. Let's go ahead and get the M.2 SSD in, or sorry, this isn't an M.2 SSD, this is an Apple specific SSD. They do have an adapter where you can use an M.2 SSD, just in case you're wondering. All right, this goes in at an angle and drops into place. We'll get this in. All right, let's zoom in so we can get the video LCD LVDS connector in. Same thing, use the little latch. Okay, get everything lined up. Can be a little tricky because this extra slack goes over there, so get this back tucked over there. Then kind of pull it back slightly, line it all up, and then pull it in. There we go, latch that down. We're going to get the keyboard backlight connector in. It helps to kind of look from the side. Okay, line it up and click that in. Oops, sorry, that's going out of view. Click that in. Good. Okay, keyboard connector down here. This one is a little tough. I use my fingernail to kind of pull it back. Again, make sure that latches up already. I use my fingernail to pull it back and line it up. Okay. And get this to latch and get that to go into the slot. Come on. Okay. Uh-oh, it's going at an angle. There we go. Make sure it goes in straight. Okay. You can use that to help try and pull it in and then slide that or flip that down. There we go. Trackpad cable, same thing. Sometimes helps to look from the side. Make sure it lines up and then push that down. There we go. Okay, then we got that other cable here. Okay. Again, make sure it's the mismatch. Line that up, click that in, make sure this is lined up, click that in. Good. And then we'll get this. Okay, same thing, we're going to put back the T5 or Torx 5 screws. I like to loosely fit the screw first, so that way we can kind of adjust this if we need to. Okay. Get the second screw, get that lined up, and tighten that into place. Then you can tighten this one back. Good. We have the other motherboard screw here. We'll get that in and tighten that into place. Okay. We have the iSight webcam cable here. Get that lined up. Okay. And it helps to kind of walk it in. I like to just use my fingernails to do this. So left, right, left, right, left, right until it pops all the way in. Then you can kind of work your way over to push the adhesive back down. Get that back under there. Wireless antennas, we can get the T8 screws or Torx 8 screws back in first. Okay. I'm going to loosely fit it first. Get the second one. Get that in. And then we can go ahead and tighten that down. Tightening this down. Alright. Done with the T8 or Torx 8. Switch back to the T5. Let's go ahead and get the screws down here first. Then we'll pop in the wireless antennas. Alright. Loosely fit that screw. Alright, hold that metal plate in place. Tighten that down. Oh, whoops. Tighten that down. tighten this down. All right, and we get this screw here, tighten that down. All right, let's go ahead and get the wireless antennas in. Let's see, is it zoomed in enough? Yeah. Okay, so to get the wireless antennas in, line it up. Okay, and then get this. The way you know it's lined up is it won't move around, so it can be a little tricky. It's awkward at this angle. All right, so you can see if I try and move it around, it stays in place. Then you can go ahead and click it into place. Right, we're going to do that with all three, so the other two. Okay. And last one here. All right, so those are all in. There's some more dust there, take it out. Okay, don't forget the little rubber screw covers here. Okay, get that lined up. And then stick that into place. Do the same thing with the other side. Get that lined up. All right, so let's zoom out here and we'll go over, make sure everything is connected. Okay, LCD connector, keyboard backlight, charge port connector. You got the speaker here, the microphone cables underneath here. Battery will connect last. Keyboard, trackpad cable. All right, then we got this cable going to here, the speaker, other speaker cables underneath there. Wireless card, that, and I think that's it, and then the camera cable. All right, so let's go ahead and pop the battery connector back in. Here we go. Let's go ahead and zoom out, and we'll put this back into place. Everything looks good. Let's go ahead and power this thing up. I like to do a PRAM and SMC reset after doing all these hardware changes. So let's go ahead and plug it in and do a PRAM and SMC reset. So we'll plug it in. If the battery's not, okay, it's not 100%, Control Option Shift on the left side, power button. This light should go green and back to orange. That's how you know you did it right. Now we're gonna do a PRAM reset. We'll power it up, hold Command Option P and R, right? You'll hear the chime, the screen should go off, and then you should hear the chime a second time. If you don't see the screen go off, you can just keep holding this until you hear the second chime, and you can let go and you should be fine. There we go. All right, and we should be good to go. So we'll wait for this so we can see the screens coming up. Right now it's, there you go. And we should be good to go. And that's pretty much it. Let's go ahead and put back the bottom screws. And yeah. All right, so I'll leave this charging. Oops, come on. My charger's being weird. All right, there we go. We're going to switch back over to the P5 or Pentalobe 1.2 screwdriver and get all the bottom screws back in. Other than that, that's all there is to it. Hopefully this video helped you guys out. If it did, make sure to like, subscribe, share my channel with others so that they can learn how to upgrade and repair their devices as well. If it helped you save a bunch of money, please consider contributing a little to the channel. Every little bit helps and allows me to continue making these videos for a living. Alright, you're welcome to stay as I get all these screws in. But that's all there is to it. Alright. Let's get all of these in. Alright, last two. And that's it. Thanks for watching. See you all in the next one. Alright, anyways, I know I forgot to put this rubber thing back, so let's go ahead and open this up real quick. Alright. I was working on another Mac and then I just realized, if you're wondering why, or I don't know if you can even tell, but if you're wondering why the MacBook is somewhat floating off the table, the other Mac for the same customer that I'm working on is on the bottom, so I'm uploading both those videos today. One is a MacBook Air 2020 M1 MacBook Air, and then we have this old, I think this was a early 2015 MacBook Pro. Alright, anyways, we just gotta put that rubber piece back in because I forgot, and I'm sure somebody would ask and say, hey, you forgot that if I didn't put this in the video. So alright, let's pop this back off and let's get this rubber thing back on. Again, this is important. If you don't put this here, then the computer will run a lot hotter because the air won't vent out properly. This is basically a little rubber seal that keeps the air flowing from the fan out this way, because without this, the air can travel back in, and this seal basically helps the case like hold it down. All right, and that's pretty much it. Let's just put it all back together and we're good to go. Sorry for not having it all originally at the same time. Yeah, but sometimes, you know, you forget things. I wonder, I should like design the screwdriver in a way that it kind of grips my hand better to where I don't drop it. I mean, I don't drop it that often, but when I'm like trying to do stuff fast, especially with one hand, then it happens. All right. I think what needs to be added, maybe I have to add like a little loop or some kind of sticky pad so my finger sticks to this better. That'd be kind of cool. Add like a little loop over there. Yeah, that would be useful. Uh-oh, I'm getting messages. Anyways, that's pretty much it. Again, you're welcome to stay as I get these last few screws in, but that's all there is to it. Alright. Last two. Okay, last one. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one. Alright, let's drop this spike.